Hey y'all, I'm Pam with 44 Marketplace. And if today's your first visit to my channel, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. Please take a minute to subscribe and click the bell so you'll be notified each time I upload a video. If you like my videos, give me a thumbs up. And keep in mind, I try to put a material list in the comments below each one of the videos. If I missed something, please let me know. Okay, let's get started. So tonight, I'll tell you, I've already cleaned this piece. I know a lot of people like these Bombays with this whatever paint on here, but that's totally not my style. So tonight what we're gonna do is, if you saw my picture, we're going to use collard greens, we're gonna use rusty nail, we're gonna use the new Antebellum Blue, we're also gonna use coffee bean because I just don't think I can do a piece without coffee bean. It gives me anxiety to do it without it. And I also pulled out some Bunker Hill Blue, so that may fall in there somewhere. Now this is not going to be my 15-minute live that I normally do. So if you get bored, peace out. I get it. But we had a monkey with this because I got to do my interpretation or Sandy's going to strangle me. And y'all be sure on her live at 9 p.m. Happy birthday, happy birthday. All right, so we're going to get started. You know I love my Dixie Belle brushes, and if you look at them, they look sad, but they're fabulous, except for the one the dog chewed. We are going to start with blue. We're going to start with Antebellum Blue, a damp brush. But here we are. Also, I want you guys to be thinking. I'm thinking this curvy thing, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this thing is curvy. How about would you bend? Do you guys want would you bend? If you want would you bend, you better put it in the comments because I want to know. We got lots of it, and all I have to do is heat this stuff up, and I could put this right in the center. Wouldn't that be fabulous? So, okay, so think about would you bend. We're going to get started here. All right, I know it makes the most sense to start at the top, but I'm thinking really that I don't want to start at the top. I just kind of want to put this on here and see how I'm going to like it, because you guys know me, as crazy as it sounds, I'm probably going to have to see what this piece of furniture says to me, because that's what I do. I like to listen to what it says, and I do whatever it wants. But I'm thinking we may get a blend. You know, I don't know if that's what it's saying to me. So we're going to start with our blue, and we're going to add some of our green. Always use a damp brush. Damp with a P on it. Some people think that I say something else. I'm saying damp brush with a P on the end of it, okay? So I'm going to see if I like this look. I don't know that I'm going to like it. We'll see. We will see. I'm going to see which one I like the best so that I know which one I want to be my color. My color. Is my girl Sandy here yet? All right. So, if you guys have ever followed me and Sandy, you know we've been friends a long time. I had been to New Mexico and stayed at her house with her and her husband. Love those people, I got to tell you. Sandy is very inspirational to me. If you guys don't follow Urban Rebel Designs, I really wish you would throw them a like out there because she is super talented. I love having talented friends. You guys know how close I am to Dustin Van Fleet and Heather Marzigliano. Ooh, let's see. How are we going to like this together? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I like the rusty nail better. Huh. Opinions. Oh, thank you. I finally brushed my hair today at 5:30 p.m. I brushed my hair and I brushed my teeth this evening. I brushed my teeth this morning, but you know, a whole day of sitting watching children, I just felt like I needed to brush them again. All right, so yeah, I like that. Okay, that's kind of where I'm going to go with it. All right, so we're going to have some blue, but we're actually going to give it a little bit more than that. We're going to go with some green because I like the way it falls into it. So we're going to start with the green down here on the bottom. This is collard greens. If you guys have not tried collard greens, you are totally missing out. Collard greens is freaking amazeballs. I mean, I got to tell you, collard greens, I am shocked at how many people don't use collard greens because it is flipping fabulous. All right. So we're gonna go up a little bit more with the collard greens, then we're gonna come in with some rusty nail. If you guys are having problems blending, I'm gonna tell you, mix your colors half and half and use that in the center for your blend. It makes things a lot easier. I teach that in my boot camps, and it really helps people until they get the feel for blending. It really helps them a lot if they do that. All right. And if you'll notice, I have on my Belle and Bow Tour t-shirt. If you guys don't have tickets to the Bells and Bow Tour, we're going to be in New Jersey on November the 3rd, and you can see this craziness firsthand because I'm going to be there with a bunch of my besties. Heather Marzigliano from Grace on Broadway is the other co-founder with me. Besides Heather, I've got Dustin Van Fleet, who is the king of whimsy. I also have Do Dodson from Do Dodson Designs. I have Fiona DeBale, who is fabulous. She is the paint pro. And then we are going to have Brushed by Brandy as our guest in New Jersey, and she needs absolutely no introduction whatsoever, because who doesn't love Brushed by Brandy's blending techniques? And in Atlanta, our guest is going to be Chris Donna from Bella Renovare. So if you guys have not checked it out, you should check it out. Okay. Now you guys are watching me kind of feel my way through this because I am not sure where I want to go with this yet. Because I gotta tell you, I'm loving the way this kind of blends into the collard greens. What do you guys think? The rusty nail into the collard greens is flipping fabulous, I'm thinking. And I know a lot of people would not do this live on camera, but I'm that person. I was gonna do Would You Been, but I didn't have time to get my ducks in a row after being the babysitter today. Because I have the other 3 children. Hang on one second. I have the other 3 children that my daughter has since she's in the hospital having babies today. So we have a 1-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old, and we are having a blast. If you guys haven't kept your grandchildren lately and you get the opportunity, I highly recommend it. We are having a ball. All right, I like the way that's gonna go up. In fact, we may put some coffee bean down at the bottom. What do you guys think? Coffee bean, I think, is what it's screaming down here. Whew, too dry, too dry, too dry. Oh, yes. Look at that. Now, that doesn't mean this is how this is going to stay. You guys know me well enough to know that that's probably not how it's going to stay. We're going to have to do a little bit more messiness in here. But we're going to get this front kind of decided before we go any farther. Now, this is my dry brush. My dry brush is a medium oval. I'm telling you, who doesn't love collard greens? It's flipping fabulous. Collard greens makes me smile every time somebody comes in my store and buys it. I'm like, oh girl, you're gonna love that. And I shouldn't say girl because I have a lot of male customers. All right, yes, that is where we're gonna go with this. And you guys know me, it's probably gonna have more to it than that, because this is our first layer. If you'll notice, we did not even base coat this with a sprayer, which is unusual for me. But we did not base coat it with a sprayer because grains. I had the grains. All right, now I don't know if you guys have tried Rusty Nail, but it's flipping fabulous too. Brandy loves this color. I know she said it several times in her live. And before I tried it, I gotta tell you, I was kind of, I don't really know that I like that very much. But I have actually come to really appreciate the color that it is. Now, I can't say that I leave it as fabulous as it is all by itself, because I do like it mixed with other things. If you guys know me, you know I love me some pine cone. And I gotta tell you, Rusty Nail with some pine cone is fabulous. And for those of you who have been to my boot camp, you know my pine cone is never too far away from what I got going on, because I love pine cone. I love pine cone. So now we're gonna go back in with this blue and we're gonna see what we think of this. And you know what? Somebody suggested metallics. we may have to throw some metallics, even though that wasn't really in our total plan. We may have to throw some metallics on there. All right, so now we've got all of our colors. We're gonna, if you guys use a dry brush, you know that you need to keep wiping it off a little, because it does have a tendency to get a little cluttered when you're doing this. And you want to make sure that you're keeping it moving, because that's what makes the difference. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. Now, I don't want my piece to be just a blend. I'm going to go back in with this brush because it's got a little bit of the rusty nail still in it, and I want that on my top color. You may not want it, but if you saw my inspiration, you know why I want to do this. I don't want any of the colors to look fresh at all. I want them to have a little bit of the other colors blended in there, because that's what makes them fabulous. I like it to be, I want the whole thing to have kind of an old feel to it. And like I say, if you guys like the wood you been, we may go back in with the wood you been, but we just want it to have an aged feel to it. Oh yeah, much, much, much better. Now I'm gonna go back down here with this dry brush because I want it to pull some of this excess rusty nail off onto that, because that's what I'm looking for. I want all of them to have a little touch of each color in them so that we have that weathered look. My whole goal is to have that weathered look. And if it's not weathered enough, we're gonna do a coffee bean wash over the top. This is my blending brush. It's an oval medium by Dixie Belle. So as you can see, this is what I offloaded onto. I love shop towels. I don't know if you guys love shop towels like I do, but I'm telling you, I can't imagine life without my shop towels. They have no lint on them, and they just really help you keep everything clean, you know? All right, can you guys see from where you are what I've got in my mind here? You can see how we've kind of melted everything together. We've got all of our colors, but I want to get a little bit of this out of my brush. So I'm going to dampen my dry brush. I dampen it every so often, is just to clean it out a little. All right, so, all right, now you can see kind of where I was going with it. You can see that we've got all of our colors in here. We've got rusty nail, we've got collard greens, we've got antebellum blue, and we've gone back in and we've taken our rusty nail and gone up. I'm gonna lift you guys up so you can see a little bit. All right, so this top up here, we've got antebellum blue, then we went to the rusty nail, then we went down to collard greens and coffee bean. And as you can see, we've gone back in and I've kind of muddied them up a little, because the whole goal, if you see the piece that was the inspiration, it was a nice old rusty truck, and it was fabulous. And if you grew up where I did, rusty trucks were something that everybody had. All right, so I'm liking this. I'm still gonna layer some more in there, but we're gonna go back in and we're gonna put a little bit of the blue up here, but I want the blue to go into the coffee bean, because this may end up with a coffee bean top on it. So we're gonna put the blue back up here, and we're gonna go with the coffee bean up there. Just at the top. Just right across there. So it starts dark and ends dark. Now, you don't have to do it this way. This is just the way my brain works. And if I decide I don't like that, we may go back in with our rusty nail. Oh yeah, look at that. How flippin' awesome is that? I don't know, can you guys see from where you are? All right, so you can see my goal is to have mine be a little kind of messy. In fact, I think I want a little bit more done down here at the bottom. I want a little bit more where we've got the collard greens. And I touched it with the blue like a crazy person, but I do that often, so it's not big thing to me. So we're gonna go back down here at the bottom and do our coffee bean again, because I really want this to have a little bit more of a melting sensation than it does. It's too predominant to me. It's got too much of a line. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our collard greens and we're gonna go back over this slightly. And then that way, when we go back in with our dry brush, it will give us what we're looking for. It just, if you haven't tried it with a dry brush, it just kind of smooths everything out, melts it all together, gives you little splashes of each color into the other color, which is fabulous. And like I say, now my girl Sandy, she's got a whole different take on things. I know her well enough to know she's gonna have a whole different thing. I'm gonna slide this under here so I can get in here the way I need to. And now if you notice that your brush is dragging, if it's your dry brush, that's gonna happen. But if it's your wet brush, you definitely want a little bit more on there, okay? Because the goal is to try to melt this all together. You want a nice, smooth transition with very few lines, if you can avoid it, okay? And if you get too much paint in your brush, spray a little water and totally get it back out. I mean, that's what I like to do, even though it is my dry brush. A lot of times I'll wet it so that I can make sure I get every bit of this out, and that way it's back to moving the paint around the way that I want it to. All right, so there's kind of what we're gonna do with the front of this. But I am gonna tell you, we're gonna go back over it with a little bit of this coffee bean and the collard greens to dirty that up a little bit. How about that? Now, those of you who follow me know I like to do a coffee bean wash a lot of times. And what I do with a coffee bean wash is I just wet my brush, whatever brush I'm using, I wet my brush and I put just a tiny bit of coffee bean on it. And once I put the coffee bean on there, then I just kind of wipe it all over it and then take a damp cloth and wipe it back. Because my goal is for it to have, like my door behind there. I'm gonna tilt it up so you guys can see. My door was a very bright color, and then I wiped it down with coffee bean, and that way I can use my bright colors, but I can also make it so that people who are not like me, who don't love color, how they can make things that are palatable. Okay, so this is our first layer, and you can see we've still got our bright colors. I'm gonna push you guys up a little bit. I hope I'm not making anybody drunk. You can see we've still got our really bright colors, but they're not so bright that they're gonna make somebody, think, good God Almighty. There's still gonna be people that are gonna think that, but we've got all of this in here, and now we've got to address the legs, okay? So I'm gonna bump you guys down. All right, so now we've got these dark legs. We've already addressed what we were gonna do at the top, so now we've gotta think what we want our legs to be. Common sense says the legs could be dark like the rest of it. So I'll probably do the very bottom of the legs dark so that it comes up into that. But we all know that common sense is not my strong point. So I'm probably gonna have some of these other colors drain down into this. So we're gonna start on the bottom of the leg with a little bit of the coffee bean, just because it's fabulous. I mean, you don't need another reason. So we're gonna have that come down, but I definitely want some color into this. So we're gonna have the coffee bean come down, and I'm thinking just because I love the rusty nail against the coffee bean, we're probably gonna have some rusty nail involved in that. So I'm gonna show you guys what I'm thinking we're gonna do. We're gonna have a little bit of the rusty nail come down, and we're going to grab our brush for our collard greens, and we're gonna put it in the mix too. Okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to basically create our own custom mixture of it running down into the legs. I'm going to move you guys around so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. All right, so you can see that we have had this run down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blend it right up into my piece. I've got it running all the way down into the front of the leg, And all I'm doing is I've got that blending right up. And I'm gonna move you guys over here so you can see. I gotta get you around my lights. I'm sorry if I'm making somebody sick. All right, so I'm gonna tilt you down. Too far. All right, can you guys see what we did? We just pulled that right into what we're doing on the leg there. That way we've got our color, and we're even gonna put a little bit right there. That way we've got our color coming down into our leg, but it's not overpowering what we've got going on with the leg here. So does that make sense to everybody? There we go. All right, so what we've done is we've added this, and like I say, let me know what you think, but I'm thinking even though this is gonna be kind of rustic, we may rust this beautiful piece. I'm gonna move you guys back over because you don't need to see me. You're looking at the piece, not me. We're gonna rust this thing, and we've made it all these beautiful muted colors. So I think what we're gonna do is we're going to maybe make this nice and rusty and stick it right in the center here. And if you can see, this thing kind of rolls out and back and forth. But with Would You Bend, I don't have to worry about that, because with Would You Bend, all I have to do is heat this up. While I've got the glue on it, I can put this on there and heat it back up, and it'll be fabulous. So we're either gonna do that big giant piece, or we're gonna do this one right here. I'm not really sure yet which one we're gonna do, but we wanna do something a little different, like this piece. Okay, now I'm gonna swing over here to the other side so you guys can see what we're doing. And I know this is not gonna be everybody's taste. There's no single piece that's gonna be everyone's taste. And I get that. I have no problem with that. Because, you know, I look at people's art and I can appreciate the work that went into it, and it may not be my taste. But it is what we're doing. All right, so now we're doing kind of the same thing. We're doing our rusty nail so that it comes down into the piece from up high. But in the middle of all that, we're adding a little bit of our collard greens. So now we've got Antebellum Blue up here. We've got rusty nail in the center. We've got collard greens, and we've got our coffee bean down there. Keep in mind, it may not stay like that. That's where we are right now, but this is our first layer of blending, okay? And I am going for a very used, rustic look. I'm gonna go back in here with some dark wax. I haven't ruled out metallics yet, and you know me and the patinas, I'm in love with those things, so I can't tell you that they're not going to end up in this mess. So if you listen to what your furniture tells you, you can get great creations. I think that I used to think that people that said stuff like that were absolutely insane, maybe just this side of needing to be committed, and I think that's okay. Because I can tell you, when you put me in a room with a piece of furniture, I can tell you what it needs most of the time, because it says it, if you listen. So, all right, so we've got all of this. I gotta tell you, I'm loving these colors together, people. I am just, it's not even, I don't know, I just love them, they're beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna scoot you guys, if I can. I got the dang lights in the way, I'm sorry. I want you guys to get a closer view. Can you guys see how we've roughed this up and how we've roughed each one of them up so that they're not really ostentatious? I mean, hey Cece, they really have just, I gotta tell you, I can't even explain the feeling to you, but this is what it's saying that it needs. It needs something rustic like this, and normally I don't do something like this on a Bombay because it's too curvy and pretty, but this Bombay says she's a country girl and she's had a hard life, so that's where we're going with her. All right, so now this is our first layer. We're gonna let this dry. We've kind of blended our legs in a little bit, and I am putting a little bit more blue on this side. I know a lot of people they're really conscious of making each side the same, and that I go as far away from that as I can. I don't want it the same. I don't even want it similar. I want it to be its own piece. On either side, you'll notice it goes up higher, it comes down lower. I mean, when you're doing a piece, there's no need for there to be symmetry. It's not necessary at all. Totally not necessary. All right. So for grins, I'm actually even going to put a little bit of blue on this leg just because it needs a little bit of something down here.
We're going to put it like it was just a little afterthought. Oh yeah, that's better. All right, so now what we've done is we've used our dry brush. We've blended all this across. We're going to carry this across, and I'm thinking right now what the top is going to be. I was thinking coffee bean, but I got to tell you, it may end up being rust. It may actually end up being rust. I haven't totally ruled that out. Okay, so now that our first coat is dry, we're only about 30 minutes in, so I've got a few more minutes with you guys. We're going to go back over this a little bit and give this a little bit of a fresh. Because even though this is not where I want it to be, I do want a little bit of this in the center. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. I know it doesn't make any sense, but I like for mine to have a good depth of color even if I'm doing the blend. I want it to have a nice depth of color. I don't want it to feel like, oh, she just kind of threw a little bit of paint on there and called it a day. I want it to have some depth of color. Oh yeah, that's so much better. And that way when I get ready to add my extra to the blend, you'll see what I'm talking about. I want it to be weathered though. It's not going to come out looking pristine because I don't want that. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of these pieces that are done in metallics, and I just haven't had one that said, please dress me up in that. I just haven't. And I keep thinking one is going to say that to me, and yet I gravitate to this. So, there's that. Okay, let's get my dry brush. All right, so now we've got to put a little bit of our green in here. I don't know how you guys work, but I like to just sit and tinker with it until I get what I'm looking for. I think some people know more of what they're looking for when they start, or maybe they don't let their piece decide for them. They decide for themselves. But I got to tell you, I really like not knowing where I'm going with it when I started. It's an element of fun, an element of surprise. All right. So now we're to the center, to our mix line. So when I do my mix line, I do like a little bit of water, okay? I know a lot of people that do this and they're really afraid of the water. It makes them nervous. I don't really understand that because it's just water. It's not gonna cause you any great anxiety. It's not gonna be that big a deal. And I love it. And then I like to make sure my brush is damp because you're gonna get a better mixture if you've got a damp brush. The top of the drawers. This is a question that comes up every time I do a blend. I go back in and I actually take these brushes and I blend them. I blend the top of the drawer so that they go along with the personality of the piece because I want the drawers to look like a continuation of my finish. So even though I blend everything with it in place, I do not forget about the tops of my drawers. And if you guys follow me, I like to do something creative to the sides of the drawers. And I gotta tell you, I got some great new decoupage paper coming in that is unbelievable. I mean, unflippin' believable. See, now can you see how that goes back down in there? And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this pull down into here a little bit. Not too much because I love the way this blue is weathered a little, but I need a little bit of the blue just to make my rusty nail finish the blend. You know what I'm saying? Oh, isn't that fabulous? You guys ever start a piece and you think, I don't really know if I like that? And then when you hit that mark, you're thinking, crud, I like that. That is flipping awesome. Well, that's where my brain goes. I gotta tell you, that is where my brain goes. I love it when a plan comes together, right? You love it when a plan comes together? All right, so now, all right, that is fabulous. Okay, so now you can see where we are. Now, that being said, even though we've kind of gone in and we've kind of roughed this up a little bit, this is probably not where it'll stay because I just know me better than that. We've got kind of what I wanted on here. because I actually got this piece for a customer, and then she changed her mind, so that's why this is even available. Oh yeah. And see, if you'll see, I like to keep doing a lot with my brushes and everything like that, just to keep it going. And I will go back and I'll answer all of your questions once I get off, but when I'm painting by myself and filming, doesn't make sense for me to try to do it all. All right, so now what I'll probably do when this dries up a little bit, I'll even go back in and dry brush some of the other colors into the color. Like I may put a little bit of the blue into the rusty nail. I may put a little bit of the blue, little dry brush flecks of the blue into the collard greens and down into the bottom, because it just gives more authenticity, as if the piece was actually painted all of these colors and it's faded away. Because that's my goal. I want this piece to look like it used to be painted all of these colors. They chipped away, they faded away, and everything like that. I will pull my drawers out slightly when they dry, so that I can make sure that they don't dry closed. That's something I will warn you guys. If you've ever painted your drawers in place and forgotten, they will dry shut. And if you look right here, you can see there's a little bit of paint right there and a little bit of paint right there. So if I don't address it before they completely dry, then I'll have an issue. But we're probably going to go with something funky on the top of this. I don't know. But now the ends will not be, they will be like this, but they won't be this same amount. They'll probably go up and down, wave up and down, and things like that. Hey, Chris. And like I say, we'll add a little bit more of the other colors, because I want this to have a little bit of a, I don't know, of a rough look, and not, you know, all clean and smooth and everything like that. I want it to have a little bit of a rough tone. If you saw my inspiration piece, I don't know how many of you guys saw the inspiration piece, but it had, you know, it was a rusty truck. It's fabulous. And I'm that person that, yes, mine's still wet and I'm still rubbing all these brushes on there, because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And I like to do my colors and rub them in and everything like that, because sometimes you have the greatest accidents ever. Some of my best finishes I've ever done were done by accident. You got something on a color and you think, dang, I love those colors together. Or you layered something over it that you didn't mean to layer, and you think, crap, that is awesome. And I forgot to address this over here. So that's the thing. When you're doing something like this, don't be afraid to put some paint on there and try it, because if you don't like it, it takes 30 seconds to paint back over it and do something else. I mean, it's so great to have a finish, and step out of your comfort zone. If you just use neutrals all the time, I mean, come on. Neutrals are fabulous, okay? I put up a piece today that was painted in neutrals, and they are fabulous. I don't deny that at all. But sometimes neutrals, you need something else in your life, okay? So I can tell you that this is going to have a lot more than it's got right now, but we're just about to catch up to the dry time. But right now what we've done is we've got some Antebellum Blue down into these legs, and we've got some of all three colors down in the bottom, and we'll put a second layer on the legs. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of rust and crust this up a little bit, because right now we've still got colors that are drying and everything, but we need to go back in and dry brush and that kind of thing. The colors that I'm using, Chris, are I'm using collard greens, rusty nail, Antebellum Blue, and coffee bean. And if you know me, I love the coffee bean. And I'm still debating on the top. I want opinions, because on the top, do we want to have just coffee bean, which seems a little boring to me. I gotta be honest with you. I don't think I want just coffee bean. But if you guys say coffee bean, we can do just coffee bean, but maybe we want to do some rust or rusty nail, or maybe a combination of the colors. But I gotta tell you, I'm pretty much happy with where we are so far, and I don't want to run into Sandy's time because she's on at 9. But there we are, and this is where we are at this point. We'll do the sides. while I'm watching Sandy, I'll do the sides, but I want to know your opinion on the top and what piece of wood you bend or pieces of wood you bend do we want. I'm thinking that this one, we could heat it up and it would be beautiful on there. It would have to go in the middle drawer if we do this one because it's too wide for that one. But now we could do something like this up in the center up here, or do we even want that? It's totally up to you, but I'm thinking we might do something like this, rusty. How about that? Yes, Amber, tomorrow night I will be finishing this live here at 9 o'clock, and I will probably be painting with littles. So I see you, Urban Rebel, with your Rebel Yellow, but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, I'm gonna mess around with the sides tonight because they're gonna be similar to this, but rather than going ahead and doing everything that I'm gonna do to this, we'll do the rest of this tomorrow night, and we'll do the rest of this tomorrow as well, because I'm not sure. Oh, keyholes would be a great idea, Cece. And I've got tons of those stacked up too. Because when I sit around, when I work at my store, I just make pieces. But you know, I've got would you bend gears too. Hang tight, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. You know, we've got gears too. I've got would you bend gears. So we could do would you bend gears. Yeah, Cece, I'm thinking that it does need some kind of, I love patina, so I'm thinking it's a patina top of some kind. Whether it's rust or bronze patina, I don't know, we'll do that. But I've got gears too. We may put gears on this. You know, I don't know. Gears, keyholes, this may just have a whole multitude of things. So I'm going to be reading this comments while I'm watching Sandy from Urban Rebel at 9 p.m. But you know we got to have some patina on this thing. There's no way I can do a crusty finish with no patina. So you guys let me know. Do we want rust? Do we want bronze? Do we want copper? Do we want a combination? Do we want keyholes? Do we want would you bend? Do we want all of the above? I don't know. We got to think about it. So we've got gears, we've got lots of would you bend. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to be reading comments, and we are going to work on this at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow night. Would you bend? WOODUBEND. Would you bend? It is fabulous. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to tag it in the comments. So, bronze on top, maybe that's what we need. But you guys let me know what you think. And I'm going to let you go, but I'll see you back here at 9 p.m. for Sandy with Urban Rebel Designs. Happy birthday, Sandy. We love you.